All right. So when you open a document in Kami, if you've never done that, when you go through Schoology, you're going to open it in Kami. You will look at a screen that looks just like this. Um, there are different tools over here on the left that you can use, and I'll show you what to do there. For this particular assignment, in red, the directions are here. Read all 3 documents. You should highlight and take notes as you go. Then you're going to answer the 3 questions at the end of all 3. And at the end of the 3rd document, there are 3 questions for you to answer. So basically, what you need to do is read through each document. So let's go ahead and look at this one together. Document 1. Life in China before the Communist Revolution, 1949. So we're getting a little more history here about the Communist Revolution in 1949. Quotation number 1. This is a conversation with a poor peasant from 1921. So we're looking at some primary documents here. I'm going to make it bigger because I'm old. Okay. When I asked him how things were with him, he just shook his head. In a very bad way. Even my 6th child can do a little work, but still we haven't enough to eat. And then there is no security. All sorts of people want money. There is no fixed rule. And the harvests are bad. You grow things, and when you take them to sell, you always have to pay several taxes and lose money. While if you don't try to sell, the things might go bad. All right, so what you're going to do here is think about, okay, this is a conversation with a poor peasant. So this is something that's important. And this is in 1921, like 20 years, or more than 20 years before the revolution was beginning. So let's take a look at who is saying this. And it's a poor peasant. First, you need to know poor, and you need to know peasant. You know, poor means of, in this case, very little money or wealth. And a peasant would be a lower class worker in this case. If you don't know any of the words, if you go to the end of the first, like each document ending, there'll be a glossary. There are 7 quotes here. So you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words here that will help you out if you're confused. And of course, if you don't know a word, just go to the internet and look it up. All right, back to this. So what I would do here is come over here to the left, and there are different things that you can see you can do. There's even a part for math teachers to use here with equations. We won't be using that. So I go to markup. It has like a little picture of a highlighter. And you can mouse over the tool and it tells you what it is. So this is a text highlighter, a box highlighter. If you're going to strike through something, you want to eliminate it, underline it, and then of course all the colors that you choose. So I love pink, so we're going to go with pink. I'm going to save that. Let's see if I did it right. And I'm going to make sure I know that I'm talking to a poor peasant here. Did I do it? No, it was purple. Oh, I have purple selected. See, I didn't even do it. That's okay. I'm mumbling. All right, so I need to note that there's a poor peasant situation. Now, notice when I mouse over that, it's got my initials because I'm the one making the comment. And I can change the color if I wish to. I'm going to leave it. I could copy this if I need to put this somewhere else, like I'm going to use it in something I'm writing. I could make a comment or I could delete it. Now over here, I might click this and see this comes over here. You make it smaller again so we can see the whole page. Oops. Oh, let me do that again. All right. All right, so over here, then I can explain why I highlighted that. This shows me that this individual or person, whatever word you like, does not have wealth or power because of his position or her position, their position. Let's go with their. Let's be politically, there we go, politically correct. Their position. All right, so now, do you see this little microphone? I could also do voice typing, so you can, I know a lot of you like that, so you could do that instead of that. And just click away from it and it saves it, and there it is. So now I've highlighted that. I'm going to keep on going. Now, what did I see in this that was interesting to me? I would say maybe, I need to make it bigger again. Ms. Z cannot see. Okay. Right here, you grow things, and when you take them to sell, you always have to pay several taxes and lose money. I'm sure you've heard some of your parents, guardians, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anyone who has to pay taxes talk about taxes. And we know that, they're necessary, but are they excessive? Like these are things that people worry about. Are they equitable based on class? So this is something that I might decide to highlight also. Maybe I want to box highlight this. Maybe I want to do the regular highlight. Maybe I just want to underline it. Maybe I decided, hey, I'm just going to underline this. I don't want to highlight it. Whatever you like. Oh, that is way too thick. Oh my goodness, Ms. Z. Get it together. How do I fix that? Oh, I think it's underneath it's underneath. Just ignore me. Nothing happening here. Okay. So you can change the thickness of that. However, it's underneath there and I can't click out of there. Oh no, I can hide them. Okay. Well, maybe I can't change this thing. I just lied to you. I'm a liar. Now let's go ahead and pick another color just because we can. So, oh, yes, there it is. Oh, you guys probably were like, it's right there. Hello, lady. Okay. So, there we go. So maybe I just want to underline that. Probably should have stuck the highlighting. This doesn't look too good. All right. Okay, so I've decided to do that. Now notice when I do that, nothing pops up and I can't write over here. So if I want to do a little something over here, I need to do that. Or what I can just do is click comment and then I can add my comment. Now notice this is a text comment, a voice comment, a video comment, or I can capture the screen. Now maybe I want to be like, hey, I feel like talking to my teacher today. So I can just click on anywhere in the page. So I think that this can be relative to modern day because we still have taxes, and taxes are a big concern for adults as they feel that it might not be representative of classes. I don't know. I said that. Stop. And there we go. And you can see my little rambling right there. So now that will tell me that you just did an audio. Now, I don't want you to do all audio or all video because I do want to see some of your writing, but mix it up. Do a little mixy over there. I did, there's a video comment. So let's go ahead and go down here to quotation number 2. Description of life in a section of Shanghai where wealthy Chinese landowners, officials, and business owners lived. So already when we look at this, let's go ahead and go back to my markup here. What are we looking at? What do we see? Wealthy Chinese landowners, officials. So that already that's different. So when we mouse over here, we can do our comment and say, this is in contrast to the first one. Okay, right, and you can expand on that. I'm going to stop. So there's that. And then we read our quote. You could probably guess how this might sound. Both sides of the road are filled with handsome cars, quietly waiting for their master's bidding after playing tennis or when leaving supper clubs. The electric lights come on. Evening meals begin. In the kitchen, the sounds of basins, pots, bowls, bells, dining rooms with the sound of music, wine glasses being clinked. All right, so obviously the wealthy, in this case, live a completely different life. They have people waiting on them. They live their life in abundance. Things are clean. They don't seem worried at this point. So I would do the same thing here. I could highlight, or you could do, let me just do another one to show you. You could do a video comment. Just click anywhere. I'm going to click right here because I want it to go by this section. So, hi, here I am. See? So I think this section is just trying to show us the difference in classes and what's going on in China in the very early 20s. We're looking at a huge class system disparity. We see that the poor and the peasants are probably not getting their fair share of things based on the amount of work that they're doing, while the rich are really taking advantage. And then when you're done, just stop. find it. Where'd it go? There we go. Done. All right. So then that saves it. So then, and all these will come through to me and I'll get to see them. I'll get to see your writing or your audio or your video. All right. Let's go ahead and keep on going with this document since we're on a roll. Quotation number 3, an excerpt from the memoir of the son of a wealthy government official. I was born in 1940. Until I was 5, I lived in Father's giant mansion in Nanjing. Behind the mansion were 2 separate buildings that housed an enormous kitchen and the living quarters for more than a dozen servants. It was customary in those days for wealthy Chinese children to be given to the care of wet nurses. The living quarters I shared with my nanny were located in one wing of the mansion. We had 2 rooms with our own bedroom, plus the balcony where I spent so much time. Naima, Milk Mother, was not my nanny's actual name. It was a literal title for what she did. I never knew her real name. Many years later, I learned that when she took on the job of being my milk mother, a month after my birth, she had just given birth to her own child. In order to take the job to earn an income for her family, she left the baby behind in the village. It had to be heart-wrenching for her. All right, now this, when we look at the top here, let's go ahead and do our markup. Pick a new color for fun. Okay, so this is the son of a wealthy government official. So at this point, we know that he lives a life kind of like what's going on up here in this quote. But this is different than that one, right? So when I go to make my comment over here, I want to make a comment about, hey, this is something that's, he doesn't have the same kind of recollection as that first one being described, the Shanghai wealthy businessman. Although he remembers having servants and he remembers his wealthy upbringing, this particular memory of a wet nurse, and that if you couldn't gather what a wet nurse was based on the context, milk mother, that would be a nanny or just a wet nurse that was just called in, and she's someone who had just given birth or had given birth recently, and wealthy mamas did not nurse their kids. So just some stranger basically would come in and nurse the kids, and that was her job. And notice what he says here. He says, Naima, Milk Mother, was not my nanny's actual name. It was a literal title for what she did. I never knew her real name. And this is indicative of a lot of wealthy servant owners across cultures, across lands, across oceans. You know, they might just say driver if they have a chauffeur. They might call someone the maid. That, like, they don't know their names because they don't bother to learn. And not all wealthy people were like this, of course. But this is a common occurrence, and it's a cultural thing that they have learned and they pass on to their children. But notice this child finds issue with it. How can we tell that he didn't like that? How can we tell from this context that he thought maybe that was wrong? When he gives us this incident here, knowing that many years later he found out, when he figured out how she got her job, that she had to leave her own baby hungry at home and come and feed him, it had to be heart-wrenching for her. Right there, guys. It had to be heart-wrenching for her. That right there is telling us that this author, this son of a wealthy government official, realizes the sacrifice she made, and he felt some compassion, at least for this episode. And those are things right here that you would highlight, and you probably would highlight something here, and then you would go ahead and boom, talk about it. Okay. Quotation number 4, description of peasant life in China in 1922. We're moving forward. The inside of all thatched roof farm homes were the same. Black rafters, gray walls, a dirt floor, a kitchen table, a bench, farm implements and amulets from the local temple. There was generally nothing on the walls. Rather, more well-off families might have several advertisements stuck on the wall. The floors were covered with chicken feces, and people walked through it with their bare feet. Amid such conditions, the popular saying in the area, Nothing to eat, nothing to wear. Those things still go to the little king. That's the name the farmers in the area gave to the landlords. So, again, you need to go through this, highlight. This is a description of peasant life. We don't know who is giving this. We just know that this is a description of it. We have a couple words that are bolded there, implements and amulets. So you might highlight those so that you know, I need to know what those mean. Oh, she said there's a glossary. Let me go to the end real quick. An amulet is an object or charm believed to have magical powers to protect the person who wears them, and implements are tools. And we see that those are the types of things that, where'd that go? Those are the types of things that they might have in their peasant home, their thatched roof farm. And if you don't know what a thatched roof is, it's just raw material woven together, so it's not really solid. Like, they would have to fix that a lot because you're going to get the elements in there. What else do we have? It contrasts with the wealthy families, where they might have a few, where they had several advertisements on the wall, which that seemed interesting. I'm not sure if we understand that. Like, why would they have advertisements? Maybe it was something of the time period. And it still wasn't the rich families. Okay, it says the well-off families. Sorry, I got stuck there. So well-off means these are maybe richer peasants. Okay, this description of the floor is covered in chicken feces. I hope you know that feces is doo-doo. And that they walk through it with their bare feet. Like, that's just, just think of that. And then nothing, their little saying that they said to each other, nothing to eat, nothing to wear, those things still go to the little king, which is the name of the landlords. So they're giving everything, again, to the richer. Even though they're doing all the labor, they're not getting any of their rewards, so to speak. So those, you need to make sure you're putting your comments over here like we did up here for this one. I'm not putting them for moving on. I'm going to let you do your own. And then quotation number 5, description of an attempt to form peasant unions. And okay, now we're getting little hints of a revolution, right? I found myself back at the village where I had visited the day before. This time I encountered a peasant of 40 who asked me, "Sir, are you here to collect land rent?" No, I'm here to help you collect your due. Someone owes you money and you've forgotten. I'm here to remind you. What? The man exclaimed. I'll be lucky not to owe others money. Who would owe anything to me? Don't you know? I told him. The landlords owe you a lot. Year in and year out, they sit at home and do nothing, and you work in the fields until you drop dead. In the end, they are the ones who get the yields as rent. The piece of land worth at most $100 has been tilled by you for 1,000 years. And how much grain have you submitted to the landlords? We think it's really unfair. That's why I'm here to talk with you, to find out a way to get even with the landlords. The man smiled and said, That'll be great indeed, but will we be locked up and beaten up if we only owe them a tenth of a pint? Such is fate. Those who collect rent always collect rent, and those who till the fields always till the fields. Good day, sir. I've got to go to town. So this little interaction tells us something. You've got the union starting up. Someone, they're starting to be a revolutionary call here. And they're saying, hey, we need to work together. They want to say, we need to get you involved in this. We need to go after the landlords so that we can get our fair share. And the guy listens and he says, yeah, that'd be great. But in the end, such is fate. Such is fate. Those who collect rent always collect rent. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Those who collect rent always collect rent, and those who till the fields always till the fields. Good day, sir. I've got to go to town. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. So this section. So in the end, he listens and he thinks it's a good idea, but the farmer's still like, you know what? This is my lot in life. This is what I got picked for. I'm gonna just till fields, and he's gonna collect the money. See you later. I've got work to do. Because they're worried. They're like he's worried about getting beaten up or getting put in jail. So he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. He's scared, so he doesn't want to. So you want to make sure you put your comments over here for that one. Two more, guys. Quotation number 6. Description of the typical diet of a peasant taken from a study of a Chinese village published in 1945. So this is from a study. Among the poor, sweet potatoes are eaten at every meal, every day throughout the year. From harvest time until spring of the following year, they eat fresh sweet potatoes. When these are gone, they eat the stored dry slices. Supplementing the potatoes are, first, a kind of gruel made of barley flour and peanut powder. Second, a kind of hash made of chopped turnips and soybean juice. And third, one or two kinds of pickles. Occasionally, some kind of bread is served. So you can see they pretty much have staple food. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, which are better than white potatoes. Gruel, which is just barley. Think of oatmeal, like a thick but not as tasty. So barley flour and peanut powder kind of mixed together, but it doesn't have that almost like a cream of wheat look to it, probably. A hash. A hash is, if you're not sure what that is like my dad, when we went camping, my dad would always make fried potatoes, scrambled eggs, and mix it all together. Called that breakfast hash. Sometimes he'd throw some ham in there and some bacon. So this hash was chopped turnips and soybean juice. Yum. And third, although I think nowadays that's probably some kind of luxury in one of these fancy vegan places. And third, one or two kinds of pickles. I love pickles, but you can see this is not a desired, lush, luxurious diet. So they pretty much have whatever could be stored, what could be last the longest. They only had the fresh sweet potatoes and probably the chopped turnips. Everything else is powdered, floured, and the sweet potatoes were dried in the winter. And then you got the pickles, which of course are stored. So they didn't have a lot of fresh. So they probably were vitamin deficient. They weren't getting a large amount of protein, as you can see. So that also shows something about class and the amount of work they're doing based on the kind of fuel that their body is getting. So those would be some good comments over here. And finally, question 7. The daughter of a wealthy businessman describes her home in Shanghai. Father's Shanghai house was on Avenue Joffre. Father led us into a charming garden with a small lane lined by cropped camellia bushes, a magnolia tree, wonderfully fragrant blooms, and a wishing well. Here we are, Father said, looking around proudly as we gawked in open-mouthed wonder at the burgundy velvet couches, matching velvet curtains, and thin woolen carpet partially covering a teak parquet floor. The wallpaper had strips of raised velvet napping that matched the curtains. Yang entered, holding fourth brother's hand. Like the room, our stepmother was also stylish and flawless, with large piercing eyes, long shapely nails painted bright red, and enormous flashing diamonds at her throat, wrist, and ears. We have enrolled you at a very expensive private missionary schools. Schools start next Monday. Now go with the maids to your rooms and wash yourselves. In half an hour, cook will ring the dinner bell. Obviously, a very different life. First of all, the description of their home was opulent. I mean, the gardens themselves are beautiful, not to mention just the velvet. It's lush. It's something that the woolen carpet, everything is warm, right? A teak parquet floor. If you're not sure what that is, at the bottom, it's a floor made from teak wood, considered very elegant and expensive, and it has a warmth to it. The wallpaper even had raised velvet napping. And I don't know if you've ever touched wallpaper that's like embossed and you could feel the velvet design. It's fancy, especially there in the 20s. And then even when they describe her stepmother, goodness. And then what we referred to before, go with the maids, no names, cook will ring the dinner bell. So they don't even prepare their own meals, they just show up and it's ready. So you have a lot to unwrap there and put in your comments. And then go over the glossary of these words. We will refer back to these words at a later date. And then you've got your footnotes here. Of course, footnotes, the little numbers refer back to parts of the actual reading that you can refer to if you need to. So that's document 1. I'm not going to go over the other two documents. I'm going to go ahead and let you do those yourself. I think you got the idea. The second document's a little different. This is about rural population in Zhumu County, Jiangxi Province, trying 1930, and then you get a little 1 there. And this is more of a study of what the population looked like and who made up the percentage of population. So that would be really quick to look at and note. Then you have a glossary there. And then the third document is policies supported by the Chinese Communist Party. Again, there's a paragraph here to explain what the Chinese Communist Party was when it was founded and the policies that they supported. And you can see this starts in 1932. And then after that, there's the marriage law of 1950, and that's important to note too. A longer glossary here because this is some policy. And then you have the 3 questions to answer. And to answer these questions, I made a text box here. So all you need to do is click in the text box and you can start typing. I couldn't change the color so it's not red so I can see it better. And to do that, you would just go in here. And when you do that, if you look up here, this toolbar will come up. So all you need to do is change, to black or red or purple. Please don't do yellow. I'll cry. And then you can just type your answer and do the same thing for each one. Just place your cursor after that and you're good to go. And when you are done, that's the only thing I can't show you because I'm not a student. There'll be a submit button up here and you just submit that and it'll go directly back to Schoology. All right. This was a long video, but I wanted to make sure you really got it. All right, guys. Good luck with the rest of this document. You can do it.